Hello, I welcome you to SOLSOFT channel. My name is Sol. Today we shall look at disk partitioning in Windows 11. I know you've been having a challenge to create disk partitions, to delete volumes, and to create new volumes as well. At SOLSOFT, we've got a solution. We shall look at the basic steps of how to partition the volumes and how to formulate the different drives, how to erase them, how to delete partitions, how to create volumes, and so many other skills we shall look at. The very first step that we should look at is that we can have many ways of accessing the disk management in Windows 11. There are very many. We shall start at we shall just tap on the Windows button plus R. Actually, we shall first of all look at the one. If you just press Windows button, we shall have to open up the search menu. It's also called the search menu bar. Also, you can access it through pressing the Windows button plus Q. You can also access it through pressing the Windows button plus S. All those are ways of accessing the search menu bar in Windows 11. It is also applicable in Windows 10 and Windows 7. We shall press Windows button. We shall type the word disk management. See that by just typing the word disk, then we shall have one of the pop-up menus showing create and format disk partitions. The moment you click on it, a pop-up menu will ask for administrative permissions. Click on yes. We shall have access to the disk management. This is the first way of having an access to the disk management. Another way is clicking on the Windows button plus the X menu. We shall be having such a window bar also. We shall navigate the disk management, click on it. It will ask for administrative permissions still. Click on yes. We shall again have an access to the disk management utility. Okay, another way is that we shall right click on the desktop, click on new, go to shortcut. You see that we shall have a window which tells us that we can type the location of the item, but it's all about what item would you like to create a shortcut for. Here, using this menu, the Windows button plus X key is a shortcut for accessing or creating a shortcut. So we want to create a shortcut, but at the first we shall type the location of this item. What you do, you just type disk mg mt.msc. okay, then click on next. Then we shall go to a next menu that will ask for type the name of this shortcut. What name do you want to give to the shortcut? We shall delete this and we shall give any of a desired name that we would like. You can say maybe disk underscore then part. Okay, any name of your wish would work. Then click finish to create a shortcut. We shall go on and click finish. We shall see that we have a shortcut on our desktop, right? Just double click on it. It will again ask for administrative permissions. Just click yes. Again, we shall be having an access to the disk management utility. Remember, we're using Windows 11. Some of these shortcuts might change when using different operating system versions of Windows. Okay. we shall still continue to access the disk management utility. Another way is that we can access it through using command prompt. Just type Windows button plus R to open the run window. Okay, type CMD, press enter. We shall have the CMD window opened. Okay, the black screen. Just type disk mg empty .msc, click OK. We shall again be asked to give administrative permissions to this action. Click yes. You see that we have again a pop-up menu of a disk management utility. Okay, we can at this time close the windows, the command window. So there are very many ways of accessing the disk manager, disk management. So we can be able to access and do partitions onto our disks attached to the PC. Among those we've seen, there are very many, but we shall go with those. Meanwhile, you can also have access to this disk management utility also by just right-clicking on or you can just search, click the Windows button. Okay, type control panel. We shall type control panel, press enter. In the control panel, you just click F3 and then type disk. You see that we have Windows user accounts. Okay, we have system, we have storage access, we have Windows tools, then we have free up disk space by deleting, then we have create and format disk hard disk partitions. Just click on this, the first option. We shall see that again we are asked a prompt for a window prompt appears asking us to provide administrative rights. Click on yes. See that again we can be having access to the disk management. There are very many ways of accessing this disk management utility. Just that you could pick any of your choice that could work for you. Yeah, and currently we shall use any of these pop-ups. As you see, we have this menu. Okay, we have this menu for this management utility. We are having one hard drive. Actually, it's a solid state drive, the SSD. It's equivalent to 1 terabyte. The storage on it. But we're having almost 6 partitions. We have one, the reserved memory. We also have another reserved memory, which is 1.95 GB, and we have 260 megabytes. These are reserved memory spaces that we do not have to format or partition or delete or have anything to interfere with them, because they reserve a memory specifically for the operating system to work normally and to function efficiently. The moment you delete them, you have high chances of losing or crashing your operating system. So we shall look at mainly drive C, the disk C, disk D, and the disk E. For a better view, let me try to depict this very well. I'm going to open the Explorer and I navigate to this PC. Okay. Then we shall see that we have these partitions. As you see now, it's clear enough. We have different partitions on this drive. We have disk C, space reserved, so over 137 GB, free, and we have almost 461 GB occupied are free, that's not yet used. So we have 1, the disk C, 2, the disk D, E, the disk E also, and we have a movable disk that I had renamed My Only during the partitioning earlier. that we're going to partition again, and we see also how to format the hard disk, the movable disk or the flash drive using Windows software without engaging into use any third-party agents. So that we are now the main emphasis is going to be on disk D, because it's the one empty. For study purposes, what I'll use, it's one that I'll use. I will not tamper with the disk C because it has memory. It's part of its memory is partly occupied. Similarly, disk E, but we have two open disks that are empty, the disk J and the disk D. Apparently, we're going to be using disk D for the non-movable device, and we shall also be considering the removable, and we shall also see how to partition it using the command prompt. Okay, now we shall look at disk D. Okay, disk D, which is the empty one. Starting, we shall start dealing with how do we delete a partition. So we're going to dive into deleting a partition. Deleting a partition will involve you just clicking, navigating to that disk that you want to partition, right click on it. When you right click, we have a drop down list that has open, explore, change the drive letter path, format, shrink volume, delete volume, properties, help. We shall take to the format. The moment you want to format this drive, we have another pop-up menu that appears. It has the volume label. We see that we're looking at the format. We are trying to format the disk D. Okay, it brings a pop-up that shows a volume label. If you want to format it, we shall here we can rename this volume name, new volume name to any of your specified name that you would wish. Also, we have a different file format, that is the NTFS. Remember, for all the disk drive, for all the disks that are not movable or that we cannot unmount from the computer, we only have one file system that we can format those disks. That is the new technology file system, the NTFS. That's why we have only one option of the NTFS. Then down we shall have allocation of the unit size. The moment I click on it, we have a drop down menu that shows the different disk sizes, but we shall currently and apparently go with the default. Click OK. The moment I click OK, we shall format this drive, but it is already formatted, and for our purpose we do not want to format it. It's already formatted. We shall start format it the moment we first create a new volume. Then after creating a new volume, we shall need to create partitions that we might need to format. Okay, then we shall click on this volume D, the one that we want to partition, then click delete, because we have to first of all delete this volume so that we can delete all the formats on it. Yeah, it is formatted with different partitions, so the aim of deleting it is to delete all the partitions on this drive, partitioned drive D. So we shall click yes. There's a warning that pops up telling us that if we do not mind, we can delete the volume, but if we mind, we might not need to, because if it has any files on it, will be permanently deleted. So we shall click continue, because we do not have anything on this drive D apparently. I'll click on yes, and you should see that we have an allocated disk. It changes the color in the top menu. You see that it's now black instead of blue. Secondly, it has a label unallocated size or space. Thirdly, we have it disappeared from our Explorer here. You should see that we had 4, but it's no longer visible because it's unallocated. It cannot hold any pieces of software as it has no allocated partitions on it. That's what we're going to look at. how do we create partitions on it, and how do we current and completely delete it. From site, from our Explorer, it's no longer visible. But you see that at the disk management utility here, we shall see it still visible, but with a black upper component up, and again with the label unallocated. So it means that we have an allocated space of 469.76 GB that we want to add to this drive C. Okay, so I'm going to again now, after deleting this partition, I'll click on the disk C, okay, which currently has 461 GB free. Okay, then after clicking on it, I'll right click, then I'll say extend volume. Okay, we click on extend volume. The moment we click on extend volume, we have another window pop up wizard that tells us to welcome to the extend volume wizard. Okay, so it tells us to click next if we want to continue. I'll click next. We shall see that this disk, the disk we had unallocated, has some memory on it. Okay, and the memory, select the amount of space in MBs that you want to allocate or that you want to give to this disk C. But remember, we are completely deleting disk D from our drive, and sorry, the partition the disk C from our drive, and we are adding this volume. It is still unallocated, but it's still accounted for, even though this volume, this cannot carry software anymore because it has no partitions. That's why we want to allocate this memory, okay, to the disk C. And so what I'll do, I'll click on say where we have the total volume size in megabytes, okay, that we have currently. Then we have maximum volume in space available in space, maximum available in space in MBs. We have 173,830 MBs that we were counting it in sizes of MBs. Okay, but select the amount of space in MBs that you want to allocate to what? To the disk C. Currently we shall leave that because this one goes beyond the one that we are having currently in gigabytes that is unallocated. We shall click on next and then click on finish. You see that we no longer have it even in the disk management wizard. It's no longer there. We are now left with 1, 2, 3, 4 partitions. The two that we talked of that are having reserved memory for the operating system and other essential files that are accompanied when you install the operating system. Those are the operating system files, the drivers, and some other files that are given are allocated to the two different disks. So we initially had 3 drives, but now we are having 2. Completely we have deleted the disk D from our volume. So this is the way, and you could see that we have an increased size, an increased storage space on the disk C, okay, that we initially from what we initially had, because initially we had 461.59 GB, and apparently we are having 631 GB, 0.34 GB. Okay, you could see that we have NTFS for the file systems, and we are having FAT32 for the file system. And remember, we're having a movable disk. This is a removable one for the disk J, and we're having a disk C, the one that is mounted onto the motherboard. That's not movable. Okay, and that's why we have 2 different file systems. We have file 32, the file allocation table 32, and we have the new technology file systems for the mounted hard drive. Okay, That is all we had for deleting the volume. Okay, now we're going to look at how do we create this partition again after deleting it. You may be having a very brand new laptop or computer and you do not know how to partition the volume. The reason as why we partition these volumes is that we do not want to have only one streamlined partition storing our data on it. It might have, in case of any virus that could attack a different partition, it could not easily attack another partition and eat all our files with ease. It could take some other time for it to take actually to navigate through all the different disks that we are having partitioned to attack and eat or erase all our files. So why do we partition these drives? We partition them so that to increase or add some more security to the disk, that we are not keeping all the files in one streamlined hard drive or a solid state drive, that we have different partitions that could help us give an extra security layer onto the drive. So creating another volume, if I want, I may create a new volume, okay, from the disk E, but we decided to use disk C because it has more memory space, more storage space than E, and it's the one we had. It's the one that we added the disk D after deleting it. It's whose volume that we added to the disk C from drive D. So we shall right click on it. We shall say shrink volume. Okay, you shall see that another menu pops up. Say querying shrink space. So we are querying the amount of space that we want to shrink or that we want to subtract from the original storage space that we have on disk C. Okay, and that space, after having it allocated, we shall be able to remove the amount we want, because we have more space than we than we didn't have initially. And so that we shall see that after querying the storage space, we shall see they say that the total size before shrink in MBs, this is the total size we have, okay, in MBs, and we have the size of a variable shrink space in MBs. This is the amount, if you could remember, the one that we partitioned, the one that we deleted, whose partition was D. So it is even here, so that this is the size of the variable shrink space in MBs that we are currently having, that we could be able to partition. Okay, so we click if you want to reduce, we could reduce, but we cannot go beyond that because they are available and they have allocated us. So to be on the safe side, because it's the one it's the amount of space that we allocated to the drive C during the deletion of the drive D, we shall leave it to that amount. Then we shall just click on shrink. Clicking on shrink, we shall see that we shall again be having another disk D popping up again. Okay, after where we shall again do format the disk, click different partitions, create different partitions, and after creating these different partitions, we shall again be having a chance to format and rename the drive, as we shall see in the next step. So we're going to see that we are having again 459.13 gigabytes of data after removing or after shrinking this disk from the total amount that we had initially of over 600 GB, of over 600 and something GB that we had initially. So we are having an allocated space of 172.2 GB that is unallocated, that the one that we had deleted. But remember, we are now taking a step backwards. Okay, so just right click on this volume. Okay, go to properties. Okay, you're going to see that we are having general policies, what. Here I want to show you that we are having nothing is on this file, because we see that we have bus number 0, the target ID 0, LUN 0, but they are informing us that the disk, the device is working properly. Okay, so you see that we are having unallocated space again. So we shall say new sum, a new simple volume. After clicking on new simple volume, we shall click on next. So we shall have this new simple volume of over 100 and 1000. Actually, it's 176,348 MBs, which is roughly 172 GB free of data that is unallocated. We shall keep it that size. We shall just click next. Now here we shall say assign drive letter or path. Okay, this is where we give a letter to our drive. We have very many letters of alphabet. You can choose any of your wish. If you click on the drop down menu, you shall see that we have from A up to Z, so it is up to you to choose any of your choice. For I'll choose D, because the first one is C, so D, E, and the last one is F. So I'll choose D, and after they say assign the following letters or mount in the following empty NTFS folder. These ones I'll leave them at default. Then I'll click on next. Then I'll again go to format partition wizard. So here we shall say do not format this volume. So I will not select or check this do not format this volume, but I will check the one for format this volume with the following settings, the ones which are at default. We say that we do not have any other file extension except for the new technology file systems, which we shall use for default. Again, here we shall leave default space. We shall not tamper with it. New volume. The label will be changed if you want. We shall use also the one that was initially given to this drive. So we shall call it Windows SSD. Okay, like that. So after giving it a uniform letter D, it will come automatically and will be placed just in front of this name that we've given to the drive, to the disk. So just click next and then finish. You will see that now we are back to where we were. We have disk D, which we have partitioned. It even has health basic data partition. Again, it is back. We have it again here. It has allocated space of 172 GB of data. Okay, that's all we had for partitioning, deleting, and creating. For partitioning existing disk, for deleting that disk, for formatting and erasing that disk. We've seen all those steps and how they are done. I hope it has been very beneficial. For the last bit, what we shall use, what we're going to go through is how do we format? How do we format this volume? If at all you want to format it, we're going to look at two scenarios. We shall look at the first scenario of how do we format this volume onto the drive. That is onto the drive. And we shall look at the movable disk, the disk J. Okay, that is a flash disk. We shall see how to format this again using Windows software. We are not using any other third-party softwares, even though they are available, but we are at the basics of this tutorial was specifically to learn how to use Windows and its software to format, to delete, and to create new partitions. Okay, so if you want to format this disk, just click on it, right click, click format, the moment you click format, it will change. We shall be having a pop-up menu that wants us to format it. Just click on the name label, we rename it. Then file systems, I told you we have only one, the new technology file systems. Then we have the default unit size, we shall leave it to default. Then after that we shall click on format, click OK, but it is already formatted, so we shall not format it for the second time. We formatted it to give it new partitions after we had created it. If you could remember the step back, just take steps back, rewind this video, and then you'll see what we did earlier. We created partitions after creating this volume newly. So that is the best the way we format this volume D in after you create it, then you format it. Okay, so we are left with the movable drive, the disk J. This one we're going to format it also in the same way. Just right click on it, go to format. Okay, now I told you that we have very many file systems, but basically we look at these three: the NTFS, the new technology file systems, the one you've been saying earlier for the unmounted disk, unmountable disk, and for the FAT32, that's the file allocation table 32. It's the older one. It used to work on the 32-bit processor. It also works on the 64-bit processor. Okay, so we have that FAT32. Then we have EX-FAT, that's extensible FAT32 version. It's the FAT32 extended. In other words, that's what we could say. But for the movable, we can use any of these. But basically, we shall consider taking the last two, the FAT32 and the extensible FAT32, the extensible FAT32 format, the one that is extended for FAT32. Yeah, the reasons why we consider these two is that they are very compatible and they're very efficient in terms of data sharing and file transfer onto the movable disk. So we have FAT32, that is very good, but they can allow a transfer of a simple amount of data space that you require, data and software that you to carry from one computer to another in case of any need for transferring files using a flash. And EX-FAT is an extensible FAT32 version that allows transfer of very large files that may include Mac OS, in case you want to format that drive and transfer the ISO image file. You have to format that drive to EX-FAT because the storage space of the partition might be too big, which is required mostly for transferring very huge and large amount of data space softwares that go between a range of 10 to 15 GB of data. Yes. Okay, also FAT32 works better for 32 to 64 GB storage space for that amount of the removable disk. So it could be working, it could be a better way if we could do it that way. So we continue to the last method of how do we format this movable disk. How do we format it using Windows software? We shall do that using the command prompt. Okay, let's do that. I'm going to open to press the Windows button R for the run window. I'll type CMD. I'll run it as administrator. Okay. After, I'm going to type disk partition, disk, the disk part. I press enter. It will open for unauthorized it will require for authorization, administrative authorization for this operation to take place. Then I will click yes. Then I'm going to be asked I'm going to be directed to another window. Now this is the disk part.exe menu that allows us to do the partitioning of this volume. Then what I'm going to do, I'm going to type list disk. I press enter, so that we're going to be showed only 2 volumes, because the other drive had only one streamlined drive that we created partitions. The drive C, the drive D, and the drive E, but from one drive. And you see that we have another disk 1, which is over 29 GB. That is the removable disk, the flash disk that we want to partition. After that, I'll just click on select disk 1, press enter, and you see that disk 1 is now the selected. I'll first clean it. After cleaning it, I'm going to erase all the data. If you could see in the background, because I left the disk management utility open, I just wanted you to see what we want to talk about. After cleaning it, I've erased all the partitions that were available to this drive, and it has turned black at the upper marking. It's black, and it again shows unallocated. Okay, similarly to the way I would have done if I clicked on format and I format it. I'll have erased all the partitions that were available on it before I formatted it, because you saw that it was health, it was showing health bootable disk initially before we've cleaned it. But after cleaning it here, using the command prompt, it has erased all the data on it, and the partitions are also erased. So we need to create new partitions so that it can be able to transfer softwares and other different files from one PC to another. Okay, after cleaning it, then I'm going to say, I'm going now to create partitions. So I'll create partition primary. Okay, sorry, had a wrong spelling for that. I said create partition primary. I'll press enter. We shall see that, you see, we are working onto this window, but there's something happening in the background. As you see, after creating this specified partition, it is now again turning to blue. The upper marking is turning blue, and it is saying healthy primary partition. Means it is allocated. I've created partitions. Okay, but they are not yet confirmed. I have to activate them and create them, and I have also to choose the file systems that I want this flash drive to be formatted into. And we say that for all the movable drives, we have to use the file allocation table 32. And for those that are unmountable, we use the new technology file systems, because the default file system formats for them that were developed and designed for them. I'm going to create, after creating the specified partition, I'm going now to format this disk using a different, using the best file system that could allow it to transfer files from one PC to another, and also to help it allocate more memory, so that it could be able to work as a bootable disk. Okay, this is the very step that you could go through if you want to create a bootable disk without using any third-party software, but with you using command prompt. Okay, after that, I'm going to create, I'll say format FS equals FAT32. Click OK. Okay, so you see that we are formatting the disk. We are still at 0%. Afterwards it's 100% because we added the word quick. It has been very quick for that cause. And now it says disk part successfully formatted the volume. We formatted this volume in a FAT32 system, as you could see in the background here. And after that we shall mark it as active. So we shall activate the partition, and after activating it, it is now showing active primary partition. Shows that now we can be able to transfer any software onto this disk. Any software we can, because it's now a bootable disk, we've made it a bootable disk. Yeah, so that is the way of creating a bootable using command. After then we can exit, and we also exit the command prompt. So we shall be left with these volumes as we had them initially. So that's all we had for you today. I hope you've enjoyed and liked this video. For more information, for anything you want, you could pop it in for the best, so that we could keep posting these videos. Just help us crack the YouTube algorithm by giving us your subscription, and you're giving us your thumbs up for more videos. That's all we had for you today. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Bye.